Welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Notion. My name is Andrea Welsh. I am a member of Prospology. I am also a freelance healthcare technical writer and the owner of Clockwork in Cursive. I know when I started out in freelancing, I was juggling client projects and deadlines and references and invoices across several very useful apps. I was using Monday, Trello, OneNote, and it just got to the point where it was all too much. And I started looking for a one-stop shop that had everything I needed and allowed me to create in a space that worked for my brain functions. And I found that in Notion. And I like to compare Notion to a Lego kit for your business. You build everything with blocks, like text and headings and checklists and things like that. You arrange those blocks onto pages to make dashboards or client folders. And then you also create databases for projects and references and invoices. In short, it just brings your writing, your project tracking, and your business records all into one system that fits into the way that you want to work. So I will be using the free version of Notion. So I'm going to start with the basics. So, like I said, in Notion, everything is built with a block, and a block is a text, could be checklist, toggles, database. It functions in a block system very similar to SharePoint, too. So if you have a little experience in SharePoint, that will help you out here. Now, I created this page already, but when you come on to a new page, which we'll start when we do the dashboard, it's just blank, and you just click at the top and you write in your heading. And then down here, you'll see a little spot where it says write, press space for AI or the slash for commands, or you can hit the plus button over here. So when you want to create anything, you just hit the plus button and it brings up this wonderful list of all the things that you can do. You can put in a web bookmark, dividers, texts, headings, bulleted list, numbered list, to-do list. So I'm going to put a to-do list in, which is a checklist, because that's a lot of what we use. So you can just type in whatever it is and keep your checklist kind of running there. You can check them off when they're done. The nice thing is when you see these, the plus thing will be adding things to it. When you see these little dots that are next to each other, this is so you can move things. So you can actually grab a whole section and move it to other parts of your board. Right now, this board is set up with just one column. If you scroll down in that same area, it's got all the different tables and things down here, but they also have down here an area where you can decide how many columns you want each section to be. So say if I wanted to make this two columns, then it would actually have two columns in it so that I can move things over and around. So for example, here, I'm going to just go down here and I'm going to create another thing that we'll use, which is like a toggle. So a toggle is an on and off. So you can go and do a toggle list that just says something like notes. Now you can just add your note in. And this is a good little thing if you want something that you need to remind yourself of. Go here. No. That you want to remind yourself of, but you don't always want to see it. You can toggle it on and toggle it off. So these are all, each of these is a different little building block, and you can create all different kinds of things with this. You can add in all of your bits. One of the things I just want to make clear is when you enter information into Notion, you can create it so that it will carry over into other pages that you may have, and the pages kind of adapt as your project changes. So that's building blocks. So now when we're talking about dashboards, which that's I think the thing that would be most helpful to folks. Now that we understand the pieces, we're going to kind of build a home page and we're going to call it Freelance HQ. This would be the kind of page that you would open first every morning. It would have a little bit of everything on it. So when you're on your Notion here, you go over into under your private because you're making your private pages and you do add new. And I usually will start with an empty page, although there are templates that are available, and we'll go over that in a little bit. So we have an empty page and we'll just call it Freelance HQ. So that is our heading. Now above the heading, you can add icons. You can add a cover page of whatever, or a cover picture of whatever you want. You can upload your own information to put on here to have the cover look whatever you need it to do. So below that, or right below that, we're going to add a call out for big reminders. So things that you need to do every day, like send invoices or check deadlines. You want to keep important things where your eyes land first. So with this, we would hit this button, that plus button again. Let me just scroll down here and you'll see there's one that's called call out. Now the call out will put this little picture here, which you can actually change to whatever you want. I kind of like the light bulb. down here. I'm going to try to put this in so we have our 3 columns worth of information. So we can do another one here of, just a couple of call outs to remind yourself to do things. As a couple of examples. You see now when I clicked there, there's a second one over here, second little column. I can actually bring this down here so that both are in the same world and on the same line there. So below that, let's put in a to-do list for the tasks we need to do today. Keep it tiny. Anytime that you're doing any kind of task work, you don't want to have lines and lines and lines and lines of things. If it's not something that you're going to be doing today, then it belongs in the project tracker, which we will get to. So, all right. And then we can do toggles. And then one of the things that I like to do and something I do, so when we're talking about errors and mistakes on this, one of the things that you can do is just an old shortcut, keyboard shortcut of Control Z, and that'll undo the last item that you did. So if you end up moving something to a place that you didn't intend to, then just Control Z it, and it'll go back to what you had before. I'm going to put a second little column in here. And one of the things that I like to add in my pages is something called quick links. And all quick links is just exactly what it sounds like. It's a place where you can actually go and take all of your stuff to be able to get to it quickly. Sorry, I'm going to grab all of these right here. So if you highlight all of them, then you can move them all as one piece. So I can move them around. So we're going to put a quick links in over here. And when we're talking about quick links, they are, so you're not hunting for files or emails. You can link your invoices, your reference library, or your portfolio. So when we're going down here, we want to go, you can go to a link to a page. And in this case, the ones that I have in here are building blocks. So we'll just say that this is ours. So you can just link to that and that becomes a quick link. When you click on it, you'll go to your building blocks page. And I'll show you how I use that later. All right. So think of the dashboard as like your kitchen counter for your business. Everything that you reach for every day belongs on here. Now, some folks don't want to go through the crazy of creating the blocks and being like, oh my gosh, am I doing this right? It just depends on where you're at. So Notion also includes templates. So there's no need to start from zero if you're not sure what you want to do. And templates are completely customizable and many of them are free. So to see them, we're going to open the templates gallery, which is under Marketplace. So when we go in here, there is so much, and it's really easy to fall down the rabbit hole of templates, templates, templates. Just find one that works for you. You don't have to do tons of them. So, but one of the things I know that we use a lot are project trackers. So you can do, okay, project tracker. All right, well, let's see. I think we'll grab this one. So when you click on it, you can actually click on the big picture and it'll show you exactly what it's going to look like on your page. And you can kind of figure out if that's the one that you want to use. These over here are the quick links, like we had talked about before, in their own little boxes, which you can create all the prettiest that you want. You can do the meetings, you can do all of that stuff if you like that. So if you like it, then you can go ahead and hit add. Now, on the bottom of them, it'll tell you if it's free or a paid one. This one is a free one, so I'm just going to add it in here. And you want to add it to private. So while the template is being added, it's going to create a new page here where it says Project Manager. Now you can take this Project Manager and you can grab it and move it up into that Freelance HQ. And then it becomes part of your Freelance HQ. So then you can link to it from your Freelance HQ page. This is a project tracker. So we duplicated it, we popped it into our little bit here. And the nice thing about all of these is these templates are like completely customizable. So you can make it yours. So if you like things that are in here, this is great. if you click on any of these, it'll have things that are already pre-built into it. Everything can be changed. So when you click on, like for this example for project, this will show you, this is how this one's set up, and it's set up in a card format. So you can grab any of these and move them around if you need to. It's being filtered by stages. So this shows you, and each of these blocks is then another little pocket that you can open up. And all of the things that you can do for those individual pages, you can also do here. So like this one has meetings and tasks for this particular bit for onboarding. Okay, going back to the project manager. So this is one of the things that I like about it is the fact that it is completely customizable. If I don't like these titles on this, I can change each of these titles on here. But when you put information into these, you can link it so that they show up down here as individual tasks. So that helps you kind of keep track of the individual pieces that are on this. And in a bit here, I'll show you how I use something like that. And then you can remove like the creator stuff down here. And to remove something, you just go to it here, click on those little dots there, and just hit delete. And that removes anything that you don't want on your screen. Okay, the client and project tracker, this, again, this is how you, or this is something that we will use a lot of. So this is the particular way that it looks right now. Now, I think it will let me put it into a table form. If you're more of a table person, you can just, and all I did was go up here and click plus and click table. You can also do timelines, calendars, a gallery, which is just all the bunch of pictures. You can do it as a Kanban board if you're familiar with those, with the tiles that you can move around. So I like using tables because it just works better with my brain. And you can take any one of these up here at the top, and when you click on it, you can change the time or change the title. You can go in here and you can edit property for the date format that you want to use. You can sort, you can use, once you get more comfortable, you can do calculations, so it can do percents and much like a Excel document can. You can freeze the top one so that if you get longer bits going on here, you can freeze the top so you can keep scrolling down. You can also do your insert left or right for however you want. And then if you create this whole thing and you're like, oh, I like this format, but I want to use it for something else. You can duplicate this whole thing, put it into a new board, and it will have its own set of rules. So you can use, once you get something that works, keep using that and then duplicate it into other pages. So in this example, we have things like the delivery, first draft, feedback, all those. The progress, like this actually goes right to tasks. So when you click on it, you see relations. And then you can actually change your statuses and make that be whatever you want. So the status is over here. When you click on them, you'll see these are the three that are automatically in here. If you don't like one of those, you can X out of that and put in whatever you want, and then it'll show up in the list going forward. Or you can change the one that you want there. If you want to add more, you want to change the color, any of those. It just depends on how your brain works. I like to color code things, so I tend to do that a lot. Using a project tracker like this and being able to customize it, it really helps you be able to keep all of your deadlines and your deliverables in one place. You can actually drop the deliverables into these as well. There is, for example, if we go down here and I hit that little plus button and it's like, okay, what do I want to add? What I would like to add are files and media. So files and media then allows you to go in here, choose your file, and upload your document. If you want to keep all of your service agreements, your contracts in one place, this would be a way to do that. You can choose the file, put the contract right there with the information with that client. The creative briefs that you get from clients can go in there on the line, and you can add anything that you want into there and just keep adding to it. It's not just like a one file or a one media. So if you wanted to do something like this, let me see if it'll let me do this. So this is the board view that I was talking about. So you can switch to the board view, and now all three of these are up here. So I can look at stages, I can look at it in a table, or I can look at it in a board, however I like. And with these boards, you can take and move any of these around however you like. It just makes moving bits without having to retype them or copy paste much, much easier. So you can drag your project to, no status or however you want to do or to done. And I like these because they're like sticky notes on the wall. And so I can pick them up, move them where I need them to do. You can create new groups. Comes in very handy when you're trying to get organized that way. So, there are two common headaches that from like other freelancers that I've talked to. The first is having like a reference library that you can just have a quick peek on things to refresh your memory on journal guidelines or AMA style or whatever. So one of the things that you can create is a reference library. And if I click over here, I actually have one that's made. There it is. So all I did for this, and then you can actually link this back to your HQ, which it is hooked into my HQ. But through the reference library, you can put in things like for me here, I have like the AMA cheat sheet, I have an AMA style manual. These are links to PDFs and actual pages. So I can just click on them and be like, oh, okay, there's my information. Plainlanguage.gov is handy if you're writing complex information and you want to bring it down to a level where, your average person can talk or can read it because I deal with medical, some medical specific stuff. I have my guidelines for the ICD-10 codes. I have CPT codes. I also have the SNOMED CT for not just the US, but also other countries. These are all different medical reference points. And then I also deal with compliance, so I have a bunch of compliance bits in here. And yes, I could go and find these all on the internet and, which I did, but it's nice having them all in one place and then being able to link it back to your HQ page so you can just keep adding to your reference library. Another thing that is very handy to have in addition to your reference library is a document hub. Now, this is my document hub. It is still a work in progress. However, you can put all of your docs here, your samples, your portfolio pieces, all of that kind of stuff so that you have all of your documents in one place. Now, if I wanted to see it in a chart, again, this was just all you do to make these is do that plus click off to the side here, and then you can add it in. Now, if you wanted to add a new doc to this, it's just hit plus and add a new doc to it. And scrolling across, you can see all the little bits on there. And you can make, again, all of these are whatever you want them to be. So I find that is very helpful. If you just want to see, like if you have people that are working with you, you can do My Docs. And then if you prefer to sort by categories, you can see, how many customer research proposal, whatever docs that you have. So those two things come in really handy. The same concept to use to create a document library, you can use to create an invoice tracker if you don't use your bank system to do invoice tracking. So one of the other things that I like about Notion is you can share pages with clients if you need to. So I'm going to go actually over to my client portal. So if you look over on the side here, you'll see there's private spaces and then there's team spaces. Now you can share individual information from private spaces. I personally think that it is easier to create a client workspace and then share that. That way they will only ever see what you choose and you can set permissions to view only or allow editing, and that keeps everybody on the same page with things rather than having like an email chain that never ends. So for example, this is my client portal. So it says client one because this is my template that I use. Now, all of this stuff has been customized from a template, which was very handy for me. I've been able to change all of these bits. This area right here would be for like the client's logo. But there's information here where you can put all of your documents. There's a very small task list over here. You have your project timeline, so everybody is aware of it, your contact information, and this is a page that you can actually share with the client so that they can go in and put documents in there if they need to, just help keep everything on the same page. Another area in here, you can keep track of your meetings. And then down here, so this would be like your invoices page, but I have it put into the individual clients. The clients can't change any of this information. So this just helps them to remember when invoices are due. Very helpful for retainers. Okay, so far we have covered the fact that Notion basically works like Lego blocks. We've looked at Freelance HQ dashboard for your home base. Talked a bit about templates to give you that head start, the client project tracker for deadlines, a reference library, documents, and then how to share pages with the client. And that is actually enough for you to be able to really feel comfortable opening Notion and starting to use it for your freelance.